The Neolithic period in Scotland ranges from about 4000 BC to 2500 BC, so about 6 to 4000 years ago. It was a time of great change as Scotland's inhabitants moved from a hunter-gatherer lifestyle to become our first farmers. Here in the Highlands, the most prominent and widespread remains of the first farmers are their burial tombs called chambered cairns, large stone mounds where the remains of their dead were ritually deposited. These are some of the oldest visible structures in the landscape, and many still stand to a monumental size. It has to be remembered that the Neolithic people did not have metal tools or wheeled transport. Building a chambered cairn would have been an incredible feat of construction. It's difficult to walk far in the Highlands without coming across one of these huge stone tombs. There are about 450 known cairns throughout northern Scotland, between the mainland, the Outer Hebrides, Skye and the Northern Isles. There would have been many more, but they've been destroyed through later agricultural and forestry practices. In many cases, the stones were removed or robbed out as people wanted to take advantage of a ready source of stone to build other structures, such as the boundary walls you may have seen at the base of the hill on your walk up to this site. As you can see, the stones from this site have been completely robbed away. Originally, Bealach na Corr chambered cairn would have been about 13 metres long, 10 metres wide and up to 4 to 5 metres high, a really magnificent monument. Today, all that survives are these orthostats, these impressive upright stones that formed the internal stone chamber. We know that the stones had been completely removed at least 125 years ago, when the General Pit Rivers visited the site. Here, I'm standing in the same spot that General Pit Rivers stood in 1885, while being sketched by his assistant. This drawing shows how little the site has changed in the last 125 years, with the burial chamber slabs as we see them today amidst conifer trees. The assistant notes his location in the corner, where he says, "View from the southeast, looking north, near Strathpeffer." Local folklore has it that the chamber here is on the spot where a number of the followers of Brodie of Brodie, a clan chief based in Moray, were buried after having been slain during a battle at nearby Loch na Park at the end of the 15th century. Who knows if there's any truth to this story? What we do know is that Bealach na Corr has been identified by archaeologists as the remains of a Neolithic chambered cairn. Let's have a look. The cairn's passageway, which as you can see has now been completely destroyed, would have approached from the east up to these two portal stones which formed the entrance to the burial chamber. Burial chambers were often subdivided into 2 or 3 compartments. This one has 2 compartments, altogether about 8 metres long. I'm sitting on what would have been a lintel stone. This would have sat on top of these 2 portal stones behind me to form the entrance into the second or inner compartment. As you can see, the outer compartment is roughly rectangular in shape, and the roof would have been supported by these orthostats on either side of me. The walls of the inner compartment are comprised of this massive triangular stone to the north, which is mirrored by a smaller one on the south. And as is usual in burial tombs, the west is where the headstone is found. Unfortunately, we don't know if there were ever human remains found here, and if so, what happened to them. Although this site has been almost completely robbed away, it's easy to understand why they left behind these massive stones. They would have been almost impossible to move. It makes you wonder how they got them here in the first place. If we try and imagine the site as it would have looked during Neolithic times, it may have looked something like this. Many chambered cairns started as a simple, small, round cairn with 1 chamber and 1 passage. Often, though, a second phase of construction was carried out on the same site. Extra burial chambers were added with some additional entrance passages, and the structure became larger and more complex. The increased size and complexity of the cairns would have added more room for burials whilst also making the graves more accessible.
Here, you can see an artist's reconstruction of a cairn in use. Imagine, perhaps at the time of the midwinter solstice, a person of great importance performing sacred burial rites in the forecourt outside of the entrance, an act performed as a way of venerating the ancestors who came before them.